Ultimately, to stay bullish on this, you want to make sure we're not breaking below kind of this support zone. So if we break below $1 again, that would obviously be fairly bearish for us. We might be actually triggering that double top that we're seeing here as well. So
what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wagmi TV. We're going to talk through Aerodrome, both from a chart analysis and kind of price prediction standpoint, but then also going to be talking about an interesting way to benefit from kind of the ranging of Bitcoin right now. I think everyone is eager to see it break that 65, 68K mark and run, but we have a lot of uncertainty in the market, and it's kind of keeping it in this solid range. And we have some ideas on how to benefit from that using Aerodrome and some of the yield opportunities there. So we're going to touch on both of those and run through them. But again, this is not financial advice, so do your own research, but this is for entertainment purposes only. With that being said, going to kick it over to Mata for some Aerodrome TA.
Yeah, let's dive right into it. So chart, very, very similar, right? I mean, we've seen this over the last couple of times we've gone through it, right? We came right up into this trend line, which honestly worked beautifully. So for those who obviously took it, congrats to you all. We talked about on the 4-hour chart a potential double top to see a little bit downside. So we did see that. Generally speaking, this is slightly bearish, but I think what we'll do is go through kind of both sides of the coin of what could happen here. So generally speaking, right, we have a pretty solid amount of resistance up here. We've already rejected it once. We have multiple factors coming into this. The other thing that I kind of was looking at here as well, we're coming really nicely into this additional trend line here, coming from the all-time highs as well, and also pierced through just earlier here in the end of September. So from a bullish perspective, right, so bearish, generally speaking, right, we're seeing that. We're seeing kind of the 3 points of confluence right here. We're also potentially seeing another larger time frame double top. So those are the 2 bearish things to look out for. As far as continuing to be bullish on this, one thing that would be extremely bullish, of course, is seeing a breakout above this new trend line that we're seeing here. I'll zoom in slightly on this as well, just so that we can see it, right? We're going to want to see a close above this, and for us to really close above that and confirm there as well. So not just close here like we are in this kind of candle that we're doing now, but honestly, tomorrow as well, October 10th, being able to close above that would be slightly bullish from that perspective. The other thing we might want to be thinking about seeing is potential move up, and then this turning into essentially a bull flag. So if this continues to consolidate between this, 120-ish range and $1.02, right, that could be just consolidation for a bigger move upwards. The only other thing I was seeing on the chart, which was a little bit new, was a potential for essentially a cup and handle pattern. So it'd be a little bit messy, but as you can see here, right, we kind of have this bigger cup and then this slight handle coming down. So again, this would kind of go and coincide with this breakout above this trend line. If we can see it really confidently break out above that, we can see that pattern play out as well, which is typically a bullish pattern that happens at kind of the low ends of the chart. So couple reasons to stay bullish, right? You have this cup and handle pattern, right, where we have this area that we're starting to potentially break out above and really testing that resistance to potentially go higher. Ultimately, to stay bullish on this, you want to make sure we're not breaking below kind of this support zone. So if we break below $1 again, that would obviously be fairly bearish for us. We might be actually triggering that double top that we're seeing here as well. So a couple things to look at on the chart, and just kind of giving you both perspectives so you can be prepared for what could potentially happen on that chart. But that's all I have today. Hope that's helpful.
Love it. The great breakdown, and pretty excited to see what happens now. Obviously, a lot of it's going to hinge on Bitcoin and the wider market, but I think Aero has a lot of opportunity there. And obviously, thanks for calling out some of the bearish signals as well too. So great work there, and we're going to transition it over to the opportunity using Aero that folks might have to kind of get some yield while we have Bitcoin in this kind of ranging, figuring it out what it's trying to do kind of moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and kind of talk to some of the ranging that we've seen. Obviously, if you've followed Bitcoin and followed crypto price action, this is not going to be a surprise to you. But essentially, since March, we've not been able to break back above 72K, and we've kind of ranged in this high 60s to low 60s, high 50s range for, at this point, 6 months or so, 6 to 8 months in that range. And so really what we're hoping happens, right, is, we finally break out above this downtrend. Last week we did set we put in a nice, higher high here from this high, and, a higher low as well from this low. So that was, slightly bullish to see, but honestly, none of this is going to matter until we break above that, 68K level up around here. So that's really what we're going to be looking for. But, really for the time being, since we have the election coming up, it's really going to be hard for Bitcoin to do that, in my opinion. And I think we're going to continue to see this range, and hopefully it kind of breaks down and gets a little bit shorter and tighter as we go. And then we, break above like that. But as you can see, like some of the key trend lines that we're looking at, stay between 60 and 65K. So that's where we're going to see Bitcoin trend most likely, maybe a little bit below 60K, 60, 65, somewhere in there, at least for the time being. And so, obviously we still want to make money. We still want to get a return. And so Evan's going to talk through a way that will kind of help us capture that using what AERO has to offer. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ev.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for running through that, Sia. So yeah, building on top of that, we are going to hop into vFAT here, which is a yield farming platform that we've talked about in past videos. And just like we talked about last video, cbBTC, so Coinbase's BTC product, has been added to this platform. And so you're able to actually get some exposure to Bitcoin when it comes to yield farming or concentrated liquidity providing. And so, yeah, like Sia said, we've got that top range of 65K in mind and that bottom range or bottom level of 60K in mind. And so if we can keep or concentrated liquidity between those two levels, we could earn some yield on the pools that vFAT or Aerodrome has to offer. So yeah, let's dive into this concentrated liquidity 100. So each of the different points are 1% of the liquidity, and we'll switch it over to pricing in USD. And so if you were to look at this range here, you're seeing the bottom position in this concentrated liquidity being $59,560 with a top range of $65,100. So that's that key range that we're talking about. And with the APR on this pool, you can get 95%. Obviously, this fluctuates a lot. I've seen it upwards of 120%. I've seen it at 80%, all in the last day. So this yield fluctuates a lot. But what you can see is if you believe in that range, you're going to be able to earn quite a bit of yield on your concentrated liquidity, and just get 95% APR in AERO tokens. Something else that we want to talk about too is, let's say you're bullish on Bitcoin, like we all are. If it goes below 59,000 here, this is just concentrated liquidity 101. If it goes below 59,000 here, your entire concentrated liquidity or all the capital that you put into that pool will be in Bitcoin, which we're all still bullish on, and it's great to hold that asset. If it were to move up to the 65,000 level, then you would have sold off into USDC, also earning capital gains on your capital that you've added into this liquidity providing market. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to get exposure, one, to Bitcoin, as it fluctuates between this range, but also earn yield on it as well. So do you have any things you want to add to this strategy we have here?
Yeah, I mean, I love this. Like in our previous episode, we talked about, Bitcoin yield strategies, and now more and more of these kind of like Bitcoin DeFi solutions are going to come out into the market. What's really cool is that Aerodrome, sure, you can go and liquidity provide for like pair, like we were talking about last week, like tBTC and cbBTC, and earn yield that way. What's really interesting here is like what Evan's really talking about is, you can express a very nuanced view about the market and continue to earn yield on your Bitcoin here. So, in this particular strategy, you basically want to be buying Bitcoin as it goes down within the range. And then also, selling, maybe you don't want to be selling Bitcoin as it exits the range, right? Like maybe that's something that you don't want. The benefit that you get here is you're actually earning AERO at 100% APR. And that is actually a higher beta asset to Bitcoin. So you're actually earning like far, if you're worried about that range going, basically getting exceeded to the top end, you're actually counteracting that by actually gaining an asset that will likely go up even higher than Bitcoin if that were to happen. So you're basically like kind of hedged in all scenarios. Like you've really taken a view, if this is the view that you have on the market, you've taken a view that, heads you win, tails you don't lose, right? Like that's kind of how I look at this trade idea here. And I think it's a really interesting way to continue to earn yield on your Bitcoin in a very nuanced way and take advantage of kind of the current ranging market conditions that we're in right now.
Yeah, 100%. And this is also a position that you could take on USDC and wrapped ETH. There's plenty of other different pools within Aerodrome where, yeah, maybe you're even more bullish on some of these other assets that are here. This is a strategy that could be used with those pools as well. So I think you nailed it. So and there's a lot of different options if you're bullish on these assets for you to use your money within these pools.
Love it. I love it. Great discussion, guys, and thanks for breaking that down, Ev. I think it's an invaluable strategy, especially when you range sideways. I mean, I think I saw some statistic about how Bitcoin does nothing, 90% of the time. It's either going down or sideways, but then when it goes up in that little bit, of course, you want to stay in it. But there's a lot of these periods where we're going sideways or, we need to adjust on how we're operating in the market. So this is super, super helpful. So appreciate you guys watching. Let us know if you have any thoughts on the strategy, or if you're going to try it out in the comments, and just let us know what you think. I always love responding to those, checking those out. Like, comment, subscribe if you found value. And until next week, Wagmi.